Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and I don't normally talk about game host news, but I found this quite interesting. Um, so this is a quite interesting situation, and obviously I'm not going to really shed a tear for this person, because I do think he manipulated himself to get the hosting gig to begin with, um, when he did not deserve it. But at the same time, we need to recognize, at least to a certain extent, of exactly why everything went down the way it did. So, for anybody who's not aware of the Jeopardy, so Jeopardy has been a game show that's been around since the 80s. Um, Alex Trebek, who's been pretty much the host for its entire run, from episode one to unfortunately his passing last year, 2020, from cancer. He basically was the host literally until he passed away. He did the last round of tapings, and then 10 days later, he unfortunately passed away. Um, so he basically was doing it for the rest. He basically did it for his life. Even when he had cancer, he was basically still doing it. He was still actively doing it, because he just genuinely loved it. He genuinely loved doing it, and that was basically his legacy. Was basically doing that for until he couldn't do it anymore, as in like passing on. That was the thing. Like, he literally said he never wanted to leave the job. Like, he was literally doing it for like 2 years with cancer. I mean, that's how committed he was with the role of being the host. So I mean, it's a beloved type of sentimental, you know, connection for a fan base like that has a host that is so committed to a show, and being the host the way, and people are, attached to someone like that. So when the passing happened, it was huge, and it was really sad for a lot of people. And I remember when they showed the episode that, the last episode he was involved in. They showed this guy, Mike Richards, who was the executive producer that not many people really knew about. I don't know how long he's been the executive producer of Jeopardy for. Probably not that long, as Alex Trebek was the actual host. So I'm sure Alex Trebek has gone through having many executive producers uh, of the game show since he came on board with it. Um, but he was the current executive producer of Jeopardy, and during the time he passed away, they did a tribute. He was there with no fans, and he basically, they did a tribute to Alex Trebek. Um, and then of course they went to the game show, the taped show of Alex Trebek. Um, so after that, they decided to not name a permanent host right away, because Jeopardy is something that they tape on, and it keeps moving forward and whatnot for each season and whatnot. So they decided to do a guest host format, temporarily, while they try to find a new host. This was what they decided to do for 2021. I completely get the idea. Audition some of these celebrities, and see what they do, and see how it sticks. If one of them stands out, you make them the permanent one, and then if not, you just keep looking for it. I thought it was a perfect format. As a Green Bay Packers fan, you guys know I'm a huge Green Bay Packers fan. I loved Aaron Rodgers' performance in the Jeopardy thing. He was the guy who I wanted to be the host. If Aaron Rodgers can make it, where Aaron Rodgers has claimed that he would like to do Jeopardy while playing football, which if he realistically wanted to do that, obviously he would have to make it work, on his off days if he was really committed to it. Um, you know, especially during the season and whatnot. But I legitimately thought he really meant that when he said that he was really, he really wanted to do that and play football at the same time. And I think it could have worked if he's even recently commented that, yeah, I would have taken it in a heartbeat if they had offered it to me, regardless of my football career, going on or not. I would have still made it work. Which I think Aaron could have done it within his off days, the bye weeks. You could get a crap load because they do I think they do like 3 tapings or 2 tapings a day or whatever. So their schedule is like right up there, so he could do the tapings and then just go right back. He's obviously got the money to pay for the plane tickets and whatnot, to get in and back from the Jeopardy studio to Green Bay, where he needs to be to get ready for the practice and or the game. I'm assuming it would be like, on an off day, and then the next day he comes right back in for practice. So they went through hosts, guest host, and then, of course, also fan favorite LeVar, the former Reading Rainbow host. Another candidate that I like, by the way. I was a big fan of the Reading Rainbow. Of course, obviously, I got to go with my boy Aaron Rodgers. If anyone gets that job first, that's who I would want. But LeVar would probably be my second one, if Aaron wasn't in the running. But anyways, they didn't pick either of them, and there were other hosts too that were doing it, and they didn't even consider any of those ones as well. So what ended up happening is, as they got to the end process, rumors started coming out that the executive producer, Mike Richards himself, was going to be the host. And it was in final negotiations. Now, of course, later on, we found out that they also decided to bring a woman in there as well. I forget what her name was, but she was going to co-host with him. So they were going to try to do some type of new format where they were going to co-host rather than just have a singular host, which I don't exactly know how that would have exactly worked. Supposedly, they've taped like 5 episodes already before this whole Mike Richard firing happened. I don't know if they're going to air them. I would imagine they would have to air them, because it'd be an error. It would be like a canonized error, because you already taped those game shows. Because the way Jeopardy works is they're actually playing for money, like it's a game show, and they're already like, the candidates are already like have played. They already are like, they've got one guy or woman has already beat him, and then the next day, if that guy or woman won the previous match, they have to come back for the next match to go up against the 2 other contenders. And if they beat him again, then he or she moves on to the next day, and so far. It just keeps going on and on. Like, there's no limit. Like, you could literally be a champion for a year, like, and continue winning money. I mean, that's kind of the objective, is like, if you're the returning champion, you basically can continue, like, as long as you're smart enough than the other 2, you can continuously keep winning. Continue to keep coming back and winning more money. That's basically the object of the game, is to stay alive for the next show, basically. Against the 2 other candidates that are trying to knock you off, so they can be the returning champion for the next episode. So I can't see them not airing those episodes, because they would literally have to bring in the contestants again to redo the show, which that wouldn't be fair to the people that already, won the money if they were returning champions or whatnot. So unless they basically have them reenact what they already did, which would not look genuine at all. So I'm gonna imagine they're gonna have to air those 5 episodes, even if they're not advertising them necessarily. Maybe they'll just advertise them with the girl host that's supposed to be the co-host, and just not mention Mike Richards' name. But then, of course, obviously, when the episode airs, you'll see him. But that's really the only way I think they could go about it. Because I don't think you can retape the episodes at that point. For, the candidates' sakes and whatnot. So basically what they're doing now is, basically what happened to this guy is he positioned himself to be the host, even though he's the executive producer already of the show. And because of this, people were pissed off, which I completely understand, because I did not like the move either. When I heard that this guy was putting himself as the host, I thought this was the dumbest thing ever. Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, sometimes people can have two different positions. Yes, that sometimes can work. But the thing is with this, no one even knew who this guy was. I didn't know who this Mike Richard guy was, okay? And here's the thing. Kevin Feige, okay, for Marvel, is an executive producer, okay? Does that mean Kevin Feige would make himself Iron Man in the Iron Man movie just because he's the executive producer and he has the say-so to do? You know what I'm saying? So, right from the start, Mike Richard positioning himself to be the host, even though you had all these guest host candidates coming out of the woodworks trying to prove that they could be the permanent permanent host, I think was so just genuine of him to do this, and ridiculous. So, now a couple of days ago, I think this was a week ago, he had resigned as the host, which people were happy about that. Now, what they said is that when he resigned as the host, they then decided that they were now going to go back to the guest host format that they have been going with, throughout 2021. So this other person who was the co-host, she's now basically gotten the boot from this. Now, I don't necessarily, they might bring her back, once they decide to actually bring in another permanent person to be the host, and then have her be the co-host with him or her, because they did say that they wanted to do a co-hosting format. So that might be the whole deal there, is that they're basically telling her that basically we're going to do the co-hosting thing again, or the guest hosting thing again, and once we find a permanent person, we'll then bring you back to be a co-host with him. That could be the idea. But this might be an unpopular opinion now, because I haven't seen this been thrown around just yet. I think this is just my thing, because obviously I would like Aaron Rodgers to be the permanent coach, or LeVar. Like I said, I'd rather be Aaron Rodgers, but if it's not Aaron Rodgers, I would like it to be LeVar. But here's an unpopular opinion that I don't think people are really talking about. Why not just have the guest host concept be the permanent host concept? As in, they do guest host for, ever being the permanent thing. You bring in, a new host every 2 weeks. You bring a guest host in every 2 weeks. I think that would be so better than trying to find a new permanent host that has so many shoes to fill by taking over the reins of Alex Trebek. Because none of the hosts that they have right now, none of the guest hosts, including Aaron Rodgers and LeVar, are ever going to match Alex Trebek. None of them are. There's not one person that is going to replace him. The dude literally started Jeopardy as the host and literally lived the rest of his life as the host until he passed away. And he was obviously for 2 years was battling cancer while he was still being the host. I mean, that literally in his final days, he was taping the show. Okay, literally in his final days, he was taping the show. There's no one that's going to be able to replace that. Okay, there's no one that's going to be able to replace that, longevity. I don't think any of these guys are going to be able to do that. And that's not a knock against any of them, because I think they're all great candidates, especially LeVar and obviously Aaron Rodgers, but I just can't see anyone lasting that long, especially in this day and age now. The way it is now, the way media is presented now, I just can't see anyone lasting that long. I mean, not to say that it can't happen, I'm just saying I just feel like it's unrealistic now in this day and age of media. It's just not something that I think is sustainable anymore. It's still possible, I just don't think it will happen. And that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, I mean, the way I look at it right now, the way I look at this whole deal right now is, Mike Richard, so basically what happened to him is he got fired, as we all know. He got fired a week after he resigned as the host of Jeopardy. Okay, so what I originally thought was going to happen was when he resigned as the host, I thought they were going to keep him as an executive producer and they were just going to find a new host. They were going to do the guest host format, and then they were going to eventually do a permanent host. But no, they fired him as well. And I don't like people losing their job. I never like people losing their jobs, especially because a lot of the stuff that came out about this guy was stuff from 8 years ago. There was some lawsuit, but he wasn't really involved in the lawsuit. It was just like a show that he was involved in that was getting sued. And then there was also some comments he said in a podcast that got him fired. Now, the reason why, no one would have cared about the stuff. Obviously, no one cared about the stuff he said in his past, because obviously none of this stuff came to light until he became the host of Jeopardy. That's literally when people started digging through his past. Okay, so that's the one thing. And for that I don't like. I don't like someone getting fired for something that they said in their past when we have no idea what they were about back then. Obviously, with this guy, it seems like he was kind of a slime ball. But I am worried about people, because there are good people that get fired for saying dumb shit. Now, like I said, this guy does seem kind of like one of those guys that, is an asshole. He feels like one of those kind of guys that's like, yeah, I'm gonna have a little smile here, and then behind closed doors, I'm just a dick. He gets that vibe. He definitely gets that vibe from me, and I think from other people. But I am kind of worried because, for people that actually are good, because we've seen good people get fired for stuff they said in the past, for dumb shit that they said in the past, like James Gunn, for example. So that's my worrisome of this, is that this is going to be used now for future, people that actually are good and actually are qualified to be host of something or whatnot, and they get fired because of that. But in this case, in this case, it's really interesting because I don't think any of the stuff that was used against him in the past that got him fired would have ever came up had he never decided to promote himself as the host. If he would have hired if they would have hired someone else from the guest hosting pool, or even just hired that female person as a solo host, I don't think none of this stuff would have ever come out about him. And that's the thing that's really bizarre about this whole situation, is that no one cared about this guy's past. Nobody cared about this guy's past until he became the host. He could have literally continued being this. He could have literally continued being the executive producer of this show for several years, and no one would have given a shit. And that's the thing that just blows my mind. This guy had so much of the stuff going on in his past. And don't get me wrong, like I said, we've all said dumb shit. Okay, we've all said it. You know you've said it. But this guy, right? I mean, being executive producer, he had to be making a lot of money already. I mean, he didn't probably even need the hosting gig, because executive producers, they make a crap load of money, you know, doing this stuff. And obviously, this guy's been doing a lot of different game shows of being producers in the past. He was, I think they said he was with Wheel of Fortune at one point or something, before he got to Jeopardy. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, on what this guy has done, but I know he's been involved with a lot of different game shows prior to him coming to Jeopardy. So I mean, this guy, you know, obviously had some type of, you know, he had good job, you know, experience in the field that he was doing. So he could have literally kept living off of that for several years. But instead, he decided to be the host, and I don't know why he thought it was a good idea to be the host, because he had never been an on-screen guy before that I know of. You know, so I don't know where he thought it was a good idea to make himself the host while being the executive producer. And it basically ruined his career, because I don't know if anyone will hire him now. So hopefully he got enough money from that guy. I'm sure Sony, because I think Sony are the people that own Jeopardy. I'm sure they had to pay out the contract, because I'm pretty sure the contract was already signed, because he taped 5 episodes as the host. So I'm sure he had to get some money, you know, to basically buy out his contract or whatever. But yeah, it's quite interesting. It's a quite interesting situation. I don't feel sorry for the guy, because the guy kind of did it to himself. Like, I mean, the guy really should have known better. I mean, you're literally replacing a legend in Alex Trebek, and you decided to make yourself the host, which kind of just seems really asinine when you're already on the team, basically, and you're the executive producer. You're already making a killing. So him being the host made next to no sense. Especially since, again, I don't think he had really experience on TV stuff. I mean, yes, he was an executive producer, you know, with several game show stuff prior to Jeopardy and doing the Jeopardy currently, but it doesn't seem like he had any, you know, on-screen experience. So, yeah, I mean, I just think it was really disgenuine. But, you know, we'll see what happens for this. They're doing the guest hosting thing now. Which, again, I know this hasn't been tossed around yet. You know, and I'm really surprised no one has suggested it. But I think they should just stick with the guest hosting format as a permanent solution. Because think about this. You know, 2 weeks you change it. Every 2 weeks you change the host to someone else. Okay? You know, that's going to bump up, you know, different ratings. You're going to bump up different ratings, you know, because you're going to get different backgrounds from different people, and it's going to draw more interest, you know, to other people outside of the regular Jeopardy fan base, you know, because the regular Jeopardy fan base is going to watch it no matter what. But, you know, it's going to interest and attract different people if you have, like, different hosts every 2 weeks. You know, I think that would be a way to go, rather than, you know, co-hosting or even trying to get a permanent host. Because again, I think it's really going to be hard to replace someone like Alex Trebek. You know, it's just going to be an immense pressure for, you know, him, for whoever, him or her, whoever it is, to take that over, on a permanent basis. I think they should just go stick with the guest hosting thing at this point. Um, you know, um, even over Aaron or LeVar, I think the guest hosting format probably would be the best route to go at this point with it. I don't know. Otherwise, those two. I'm sure there are other people too that could do it. But I don't know. I just think the way the media is now, and the way the way TV is going these days, I just think it's probably best to just stick with the guest hosting format as the permanent host, basically. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with that? What do you guys think about this situation? Like I said, I think Mike Richard deserved what he got for this, but I think he, deserved it because he again positioned himself when he really was unqualified to be the host. You don't see Kevin Feige making himself the star of Marvel, of a Marvel film, even though he's the executive producer and he could do it. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. So I don't feel sorry for him. I am worried though, because I am worried that this could be used for future people that don't deserve to get fired in a way like this. If they actually were qualified, like if someone was actually qualified to get a job and then people bring up stuff from his past and it's like, then they get fired. Obviously that's not really the case here in this situation, but I do worry about stuff like that. But in this case, it's obviously a little different. But I'd like to know what you guys think about this. I think this is an interesting topic, and I think this is an interesting situation. Let me know what you guys think, and who do you guys think should be the guest host? Do you think it should be Aaron Rodgers? Do you think it should be LeVar? Do you think it should be a permanent guest host format? Let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you guys think about this whole thing about the Mike Richards thing here. Where do you guys stand on this? Let me know. I'm out. Discord's links in the description. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for all the latest contents, comment, rate, and that's about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku Matter. Peace!